If you saw the video last week, you already know that some kind of imposter got into my channel. I'm still not sure how, but my working theory, which I think is at least 100% correct, is that they made an AI to go on my website Fiverr and hire an animatronic guy with a flappy thing on the bottom of his head to lip sync to my voice. And then they went and hacked my website, lulu.com, and then yada yada yada. Somehow the video got on my website YouTube. I'm clearly under attack by evil spiritual forces. And so I think the best thing I can do right now to assuage my spiritual angst is take the rare last resort step of responding to a goofy video. So the guy in this video, I think he was an actor in like a TV show about some kind of an empire of ducks. I'm a little murky on the details. Oh, and by the way, I made this video and then I found out that this guy died in May of just natural causes, I guess. Health issues at age 79, which I'm sorry to hear, regardless of our obviously very strong disagreements and the jokes that'll show up in this video. But I feel like I'm pretty justified in not having known that, considering that this video was posted on October 21st, 2025, with nothing indicating that he's not alive. Well, if they're posting his videos as if he's still alive to get views, it's fair game for me to post my video too. What the hell? It's too good of a video, sorry. We're all going that way, Phil, and I'm sure we've all got someone who will endlessly zombify our content. By the way, Ezet, Baby Elzebub, other Baby Elzebub, if you do that to me, I'm coming back to haunt you. I don't think that's possible, but I'm going to find a way anyway. Okay, be warned.
I'm sitting under some trees.
Oh yeah, that does indeed seem to be the case. Unless you got that machine on a green screen. Hold on a second. You're that guy that was on my channel. Look at you. You got the beard and the skin and everything. I should have known you'd be back for more. They pulled off the perfect heist to my channel, but they just couldn't leave well enough alone. Had to return to the scene of the crime.
Why do I call them trees?
Because your parents called them trees. Because they spoke English to you, presumably. Are you confused about this somehow?
Why aren't they called something else?
In English or in general? If in general, they're called a lot of things, obviously. If you mean just English, I guess the answer is how many words do you want? For a concept that broad, I can't think of any very good reason to have more than one word. And if you're only going to have one word, you gotta just kind of settle on one arbitrarily, which is going to be the product of historical happenstance. Frankly, I feel stupid even saying that because it seems so incredibly obvious. My assumption would be that everyone already understands this.
Why a tree? For some strange reason, that's what all of you call them.
All of us who speak English, sure, yes. I doubt that anyone who really speaks English to any level of fluency doesn't call those things trees. Maybe some people call them other things, lumber pods, sky ticklers, but even they probably say tree at least sometimes.
All of you at the sound of my voice, here's what I know. I call them trees, and you call them trees. You're not calling those trees based on what Darwin said.
True enough, the word tree predates Darwin by a very long time, especially if you're willing to lump that word together with older, very similar ancestral forms, from Old English, Proto-Germanic, and so on. Darwin did not make up the word tree by any stretch. That's an incredibly weird thing to imply other people think.
You're calling them trees because God said after he called light, light, and darkness, darkness. What you call night and what you call dark.
Wait, hold on. What does this have to do with the word tree? Why are we talking about light and night and darkness all of a sudden? In fact, why are we talking about the Bible? I don't call trees trees because of anything to do with the Bible. Not me personally, not my culture. That word's presence in my language has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible, nor do the English words for light and night and dark for that matter. And to be clear, that doesn't therefore mean that these words come from Darwin. They come from neither source. What are we doing here, man?
That's what I call night, and that's what I call dark. So does everyone else worldwide.
No, the words night and dark are not used by everyone worldwide. All the ones who learn English, maybe, but that's far from everyone. And you're talking about this as if it's coming from the Bible. This is God talking in the Bible, as I understand what you're trying to say. Which, if you're talking about the Old Testament, that's written mostly in ancient Hebrew, and none of it is written in English. If God was telling people that, he was telling them in Hebrew, or maybe just beaming thoughts directly into their heads, I don't know. In any case, what is this, man? What are you doing?
You turn on a light, you can see better. You say, what do you call it? You call that light.
Yes, I call it light. Fascinating insight. Who knew?
You say, did you learn that from Charles Darwin?
I would be very surprised if most people's first exposure to the word light was from reading Darwin. It's not really beginner level material. Do you think there's some group of people who think that literally every aspect of human knowledge comes from Charles Darwin? Is that why you keep bringing him up? I can't think of any other reason.
No. The earth was in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep. There was no light. All dark.
There was no light like the physical phenomenon or like the word? Because we're talking about the origin of the word, I think, not the origin of like photons, right?
Y'all know what dark is, and I know what dark is. We both call it the same thing.
Do you know what dark is? Yeah, Phil, this is the first time I ever listened to you, and my first impression is that it would be a really bad idea to assume that you know anything.
Well, he called the light day. And the darkness he called night.
Okay, those are actually 4 different concepts. Light and day, of course, are not synonymous. Dark and night also are not synonymous. I understand that's how the Bible puts it. I'm just saying that's not actually literally true, and normally I wouldn't be that pedantic, but I feel the need to say something at least, because otherwise this is completely mind-numbing. Really picked a winner to come back on here, didn't I?
What do you call it? You said, well, I call it daytime, day. You said, what does that mean? You say it's light.
No, see, I would not define daytime that way. How can that be a sufficient definition? But regardless of you using words in stupid ways, yes, we use the same words because we speak the same language. One of us better than the other, but that's neither here nor there. You know what's formless and void, Phil, other than the earth when it was still darkness? This video up to this point.
I'll tell you, yeah. What do you call darkness? Well, I call that night.
I call darkness night? So what, I go in a cave and all of a sudden it's nighttime? You see what I mean? Your definitions are in no way fit for purpose.
Well, where'd you get that from?
Where'd I get what from? That daytime is light and darkness is night? I didn't get that anywhere, fortunately. Spared me some remedial education.
Why do you call it that?
You know what? I'm just going to take that to mean where did you pick up basic words, okay? We'll make it a more general question. We'll move beyond the darkness equals nighttime stuff. That's not worth more time. So the answer to the general question is I'm a native English speaker, so I probably picked these words up from random people talking, or maybe one of them read me a baby book. I guess we could broaden out the question even further and say, why does anyone use those words in particular? Why are those the words in this language? And I guess I could just go and get some etymologies from Etym Online and show them. Is it even worth the 2 minutes? Probably not, honestly. Why do you think we call stuff stuff, Phil? I'm pretty sure I know the answer and you don't really have to say it. It seems pretty obvious at this point, but I'd still like to hear it put more directly.
Genesis chapter 1. God said, let there be an expanse between the waters. It's a ball of water.
Oh, it's a ball, is it? Well, that's good at least.
And he cuts it in two, and the atmosphere goes this way. You have an atmosphere.
Oh, do you? Why do you call it an atmosphere, Phil? Is that a Bible word? I don't remember that one.
A lot of water in it. And the water beneath it, so far, no dirt. Nope.
Look, I know you're chilling in the trees. You're not in a huge rush out there. But would you get to the point already?
We're just pulling it apart right now. It's a ball of water. Now look.
Ugh.
Some dude, according to the atheists, sat down under a tree, Moses.
Did he call it a tree? Or did he live in the era before that, where people just had to point at it and kind of go,
And he figured this out on his own.
Figured what out? The atmosphere? No, Phil. He did not figure out the atmosphere. He, or rather whoever wrote Genesis, whoever that was, didn't even figure out the geosphere. By which I mean they thought the earth was flat. What would the atmos be a sphere around? But you know what the person who wrote Genesis didn't know about? Just like there's a big blue thing down there made of water, there's a big blue thing up there, and water falls out of it. Where could the idea possibly have come from that there's water up? This guy must have had like 2,000 IQ!
Well, every last one of you called it the same thing Moses called it.
So you are actually saying that Moses used the word atmosphere? I think you might want to double check that one. That doesn't even show up in English translations, let alone ancient Hebrew. Does that sound like ancient Hebrew to you?
But you don't believe in it.
No, you're right. I don't believe that the ancient Hebrew word for atmosphere was atmosphere. Nor do I believe they even had the concept. Source, I read Genesis. Also, if I did refer to something generally related to the sky, using whatever the ancient Hebrew word for firmament is, or the word for the waters above, or whatever the equivalent word is that you apparently think I'm using, if for some reason the English language used that word to refer to the sky or to the atmosphere, referring to a completely different understanding of the sky than that which appears in the Bible, that would not be a reason to believe in it, by which I assume you mean the Genesis narrative. You've given no argument for why that should be the case at all. Nor, by the way, do I believe that Moses sat down under trees and came up with scientific concepts. That's not a belief of the atheists. You say that this is according to us, but you clearly didn't get this from any of us. You seem to be treating atheists as some sort of fantasy creatures you can just make up attributes for on the fly.
Well, why are you calling it all these things? The same thing Genesis called it, the Genesis writer called it, if you don't believe it.
Is there anything that I actually call the same thing as what the Genesis writer called it? Adam, I guess, is kinda close. There's a few other proper nouns that are sorta close, and there's not a whole lot else. What do you think, that some dude Moses sat down under a tree and hand-wrote the 1978 New International Version of the Bible in English? The year of the copyright didn't clue you in at all? But okay, let's say I did use the same words for these things as are used in the Bible, which I don't. What is that supposed to mean? I come from a historically Christian culture. Why would it be surprising that that culture would adopt some words from its own holy book? You seem to be thinking that I should take that to mean that God exists and Genesis is true. For what reason? Is there a reason? I don't think so.
Let the water under the sky. Now we got water underneath it because he hasn't done anything with that yet. Watch.
Water underneath the sky, yeah. Oceans, lakes, rivers. That's still there because he hasn't done anything with it yet, huh? But once he does do something with it, what, it's all going to go away? No, you're just rambling nonsense.
Be gathered to one place and let dry ground appear. And it was so, and he called the dry ground. Are y'all ready for this?
Well, I have your version of the Bible. I mean your exact version of the Bible, the Thompson Chain Reference NIV. And I just looked it up and the next word is land. That's how ready I am. Going and finding it out myself, believe it or not. Can you imagine how much bravery that took? To not avert my eyes from this lest I lose my non-faith?
Land.
No way. I can't believe an English translation of the Bible calls land land. They didn't have that word in 1978. They were using Moses talk back then. This must be the Hebrew word. Hebrew's identical to 1978 English by pure coincidence. That'd be really impressive, except The Simpsons did it first in that episode where the alien language is exactly identical to English. Not very creative, God.
Well, what do y'all call it?
What do I call land? Well, the language hasn't changed that much in 47 years, so I still use the basic old Germanic word that's existed since Proto-Germanic. Don't really see much reason to change it. What do you call it? Something Hebrew?
Atheist or believer, what do you call the dirt?
Oh, well, I call that the dirt. I thought you were asking about land.
We call that land.
No, we call it dirt. That's why there's two different words.
God saw it was good, and now we get to the trees.
Wait, now we get to the trees? I gotta be honest, I'd completely forgotten about the trees. We got so totally sidetracked for no reason whatsoever, and at first I was frustrated by it, and then I forgot I even was. I forgot we were even talking about that. I've really stopped caring about trees at this point, but alright, fine, let's talk about them.
God said, let the land, you call it land and I call it land, produce vegetation, put trees on the land that bear fruit.
Man, are you struggling to read this or something? You read so slow. And then you take these long pauses. I'm sure sometimes you'll throw in a comment, but it seems like that's just a stall for time. Do you need help? You want me to read it?
Apples, oranges, peaches, oak trees, acorns.
I'm just going to venture a guess that oak trees and acorns don't show up in the list of fruits. Or that there is a list of fruits. I don't know why you felt the need to provide me with one. I know what a fruit is, and an oak tree is not one of them. An acorn is, though.
Fruit, coming out of fruit. What do you call it?
Oh, I call it whatever the hell they called it in ancient Hebrew, because I love the Bible, Phil. I speak Bible language all day long. That's basically all English is.
What do you call peaches? You say, well, I call that...
Oh, peaches.
Fruit.
Oh. No, I call peaches peaches. Am I doing something wrong? Am I committing a sin against Moses?
That's what Moses called it in the Genesis account, by the way.
It most definitely is not.
And it was so according to the various kinds. A lot of different kinds.
Dare I even ask for a proper definition of kinds? No, I don't think I do dare. I'm afraid that the answer will be nuclear level stupid. I should have safety equipment before I try it.
Old Moses sitting under a tree
Kissing.
just dreamed all this up.
Dreamed what up, Phil? The oak trees and the acorns? The tasty sweet things grow on plants? What am I supposed to be impressed by here? This is worse than that time in, A Conscious Universe, I think? It must have been Armando, said that Jesus was a genius-level intellect because he knew people ate bread and breathed.
You talking about a dreamer.
No, I'm not. I'm not talking about anything. You're talking endlessly about nothing. Just get on with it.
He finally gets to us, the first living things he created.
Oh, he gets to the first living things after talking about trees and fruit? Here we go again! Hey, little Philly, I've got a great book called Are Trees Alive by Debbie S. Miller. Spoiler alert. Yes!
You get over to the verse 20.
Uh-oh, what happened? Did they find you?
Got some more coming.
Some more what? Feds? Oh, Bible verses. Uh-oh.
What's next, Lord? Let the water, lot of it.
Let the water, lot of it. Signed, God. Poetic.
Teem with living creatures, it does.
How could Moses possibly have known? He was stuck under a tree his whole life. It's a miracle, I'm telling you.
Let birds fly above the earth. Wait a minute.
Birds are in the living things section? I don't know about that. I wonder if Debbie S. Miller has a book about whether birds are alive.
Where'd we get this name, bird?
Actually, that's kind of an interesting question, because this is the first one that's anywhere near confusing. See, the thing is, other Germanic languages don't have a word like bird. They have a word like, for example, in German, Vogel. Those words are cognate with fowl. And to this day, the Old English word that bird derives from is still a mystery as to where it came from. But what I can tell you for sure is that where it came from is not biblical ancient Hebrew, which is all that's actually relevant here.
What do you call them?
Is that headband covering up a gigantic scar from where they took the top of his skull off and gave him a full every lobotomy?
These things that go through the air, ducks. You said, well, that'd be a bird.
Oh, hey, he said the duck word. That's a thing with him, the ducks. That's funny.
A cardinal, beautiful thing. You say, I call that a bird. You say, what do you call a hawk that flies by? You say, I call that a bird. What do you call that buzzard? I call that a bird.
What do you call a bat? Well, I call that a bird. Yes, please do go back to the Bible. I think it's time we move on from this. Do you have any other points? We've dwelled on this one attempt at an argument for the whole video so far. We gonna mix it up at any point, or is it just gonna be this? Because I get it. It's getting a little repetitive now.
God said, let the water teem with living creatures and let birds fly above the earth. They do.
Okay, look, I can maybe buy the argument that when Moses was sitting under the tree, maybe the tree was so big that he couldn't see the sky, and maybe the tree wasn't close enough to the water to see the water teeming with things, and maybe the tree wasn't an oak tree. Maybe it didn't have any acorns, so he didn't know about fruit. But surely, through his whole life sitting under that tree, he at least saw one bird. At least give me that one, Phil.
And across the expanse of the sky, they do. Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the water in the seas and let the birds increase on the earth. And he gets over a little further and he says, listen, I made all that for food for you, which it is.
Well, I have your translation right here, and in actual fact, in verse 29, God says he gives them every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds of the air, and all the creatures that move on the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. He doesn't actually say that the birds and the things in the ocean and so on are for you to also eat. At least not there in Genesis 1, anyway. I'm just saying, if it doesn't say it, I don't know why you say it says it. Don't put words in God's mouth.
Chickens, that'd be a bird.
A beep boop up bird.
You say, you eat him? Yeah, we eat him.
I prefer the herd chickens.
Do atheists eat chickens? You say, yeah, they eat them.
Yeah, a lot of them eat them. Look at that, you know one thing about atheists. Some of them, anyway.
What do they call them? Birds. I'm like, that's what God called them.
You're like a stuck record.
So, we're going way back to who named the trees, because I'm sitting under them. They are majestic.
They are wonderful, Phil, and I'm glad you have a chance to sit under them in this slightly tasteless re-upload of your video. So yeah, anyway, this is how much I recorded before I found out that Phil died. And, I think it's kind of a good place to stop, because at this point he starts talking about how the trees absorb water and all kinds of stuff about that, and it's this huge tangent. Really, this feels like the ideal stopping point. To Phil's family, they're not going to watch this, they're not going to care about this. But just in case, I'm sorry for your loss half a year ago, genuinely. It's pretty obvious from this video I have my opinions about Phil himself, but I'm obviously not happy about the dude dying. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Do me a favor, give the video a like, click subscribe. Huge thanks to all of my supporters, and I'll see you later.